Hello everyone, welcome to your Scotch Malt Whisky Society August virtual members tasting. I'm Richard Goslan, I'm the editor of Unfiltered magazine for the SMWS, and I'm delighted to say I will be your host tonight. So I hope you're all doing well, enjoying a wee bit of sunshine if you're in Scotland. It's been very pleasant, but back indoors to enjoy some cracking whiskies tonight. We've got a really, really good lineup tonight, some intriguing drams, and most of you will probably have seen that we're doing food pairings in August. We've done a collaboration with a vegan food expert in Switzerland. We've got something coming up with the team at Mono in Glasgow very soon. So we're exploring different kind of food pairings, and we're having a wee bit of fun tonight with some other kind of pairings and a couple of nice beers thrown in for good measure. So let me just clarify our running order tonight, just so you can get everything set up before we dive into the whiskies. We've got 91.28, the Digestible Estival Festival first up. That's followed by the 6.48, Monroe Magic is going to be next up. Then the 7.256, Fruity Wax, followed by the CW 1.2. That's the Gum Gatherer's Log Cabin. And we're going to round things off with the 4.277, a Punch and a Pout, Honey and Heft. So that is your running order tonight. I should say, if any of these samples grab you and you want to purchase a bottle, we do have 4 out of the 5 available to buy via our secret shopping link. That is smws.com/VMT-shopping. And I'm sure our producer Andrew will get that up at some point during the tasting this evening. Only the 6.48 is not available, I'm afraid. So get your tasting mat and your food and beers ready. First of all, let me introduce my guests for this evening. I should say John McCheyne from the Society doesn't need much of an introduction. He is a well-kent face, as they say in Scotland, and he's going to be leading the tasting for the Society. So great to see you, John.
Hi, Richard. Great to see everyone. Looking forward to a very good evening tonight.
Yes, indeed.
I'm speaking to you from the wilds of Argyll, so it'll get a bit dark out there as evening wears on.
Very nice place to be. And we are delighted this evening to have all the way from Denmark, bringing some Viking spirit to the tasting, Mr. Martin Markvardsen from Highland Park. He's the senior brand ambassador for Highland Park, and we're absolutely delighted that Martin can join us tonight. Martin, how are you doing over there in Denmark?
I'm fine, Richard, and hi, John. Fine here.
Hi, Martin.
It's a little bit later here than where you are, but it's great. I have in front of me 5 whiskeys, so it can't go wrong. I'm fine. I'm ready, and I'm happy. So yeah,
great stuff. Well, I should say for everyone tuning in, drop your comments in. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Always interested to see where our members are scattered around. Far-flung membership that we have. So absolutely get involved tonight. If you've got any questions for John, for Martin, and obviously your comments about the whiskies that we're having, about the pairings that we're doing with them, then put whatever you've got into the comments, get involved, and we'll have a bit of fun. But we've got 5 cracking drams to get through tonight, so I think without any further ado, we should just get stuck right in. And we're starting off with the 91. John, you want to just get...
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Richard. First of all, hello to everyone who's saying hello. Quite a few of you I've actually been speaking to in the last week. Peter, Nadja and Jens, Anne from Southampton. Yeah, hello everyone. Great to hear you all. And we'll do a bit more as we go through. The first dram is number 91.28. Now, what we're doing tonight, folks, is we're doing a kind of look and taste of bourbon wood. So various types of bourbon wood at various ages for you. Because remember, the wood is all important, as you all know. The famous Jim Swan said that the transformation from you make spirit to mature whiskey is like the caterpillar to the butterfly, and the chrysalis is the oak cask. So let's just, as we're tasting these whiskies, let's just imagine how that time in that particular type of cask for how long has impacted the flavour. Okay, so number 91, this one is 11 years old, my second fill bourbon barrel. Okay, so it's from a distillery where the new make spirit is known to be quite malty and nutty, but actually matures very well in bourbon. So here we go. As we say, always try a little bit with a sip of neat first, roll it in your mouth, let the flavours wash over you before you then try with a little bit of water, okay? Because the strength we're talking about here is 56.6%. And I actually thought, I've got one ready, I thought this might go well with a little light IPA. In fact, it's light and delicate flavour profile. So let's try the whiskey first. And please let us know, everyone, what you're trying in terms of the pairing. If you didn't quite get what we had suggested, what you're trying in terms of the pairing, if you're doing the pairing, because that will always be interesting. So here we go. Cheers. Let's see what we think. Immediately very flowery for me, very floral and fruity as well. Pineapple juice coming through there. What about you chaps?
Lots of pears, lots of apples is coming out here as well, and it has a really good kind of note of this grassy hay thingy that comes out as well, which is really, really nice.
Yeah,
but I especially like the pears in this one. I think really comes out. So and a bit of coconut in the finish as well. So,
I got coconut too, Martin. Definitely coconut coming from the bourbon barrel.
It's quite robust, though. I'm finding. I mean, it's one of our light and delicate flavor profiles. But I tell you what, I don't find it that light. I find it very mouth-filling and quite robust, actually.
I think it's always amazing that sometimes you can get a cask strength whiskey, Richard, and you think, man, that's just wonderful the way it is. You know, it's very, very, very drinkable. And sometimes you get one similar or even less ABV, and you feel a little bit of water might be required. I think this one would benefit from a little bit of water.
Yeah. A wee splash.
And saying water. Oh, Lassie home. How you doing, Lassie? Oh, he doesn't have the drams because of Brexit. Oh well, good to hear from you anyway, Lassie. Pears and melon, Anne, yes. So I'm going to try a little bit of water now.
I'd say that's accentuated these grassy notes that you were talking about.
Yeah, the grassy notes is there, and I think especially the pears and the apples is coming through much better as well. But what a lovely dram! Even though it's quite robust and so on, I think, you know, for the summer that is almost over for some here, it's a really beautiful summer dram as well, even at full strength. But with water, it really gets all these beautiful, a little bit of exotic fruit as well is coming out. So very, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was kind of getting a kind of spring meadow flavours too, you know, as well as the fruit. And just as you mentioned the end of summer there, Martin, Richard alluded to it earlier. We've had a fantastic spell of weather in Scotland in the last week or so. And Billy Connolly, the famous Scottish comedian, used to say, in Scotland, we only get 2 seasons, winter and June. Well, this year he's wrong.
Yeah.
We're into August this year. It'll soon come to an end, I'm sure.
That's very nice. And But I think there's quite a long fermentation at this distillery, and that leads to a kind of
I think so.
a lighter,
Yeah, that's right.
distillate, right?
I think it's about 75 hours.
Yeah.
I think, Richard. Yeah.
So we suggested that people try this if they manage to get hold of the famous old After Eight mints. I don't know how common those are outside of the UK. Do you get those in Denmark, Martin?
No. So even though I think some have tried, no. So but
it's a staple of. I associate these with Christmas parties.
We have them here, but normally it's something when you go to a restaurant, people will give them after dinner. And as we are very when it comes to timing here, no one will eat them until after 8. So that's where we are drinking our whiskey. So yeah.
Sure. Well, I'll try a little bit of this IPA along with it.
I'm going to wee bit of them after 8. I'll tell you what, that's pretty good. I think there is a kind of wee minty note in the whiskey.
Yeah, I think so too.
And the After Eight's kind of.
I think that's where I got the After Eights from. It was definitely a mint chocolate flavour, I think, coming through in the whiskey.
Mint chocolate chip right there. That's fantastic.
I would actually say when the longer it stands with some water, the more minty it actually gets. It needs some time to open up, but when the water kind of comes to its right, it have a really good minty, almost kind of eucalyptus kind of note to it at the end, which is really, really nice. Really nice. It's a good dram.
Yeah, it is. So we don't get too many from this distillery, but this is exceptional,
Yeah.
Nadja and Jens from Frankfurt are saying that they have nearly always beautiful weather in Scotland whenever they've been there. That's because they come in summer. Second Tuesday in June every year.
Very good. Right. We're going to get through the drams fairly quickly tonight, John. So shall we just move on and crack open the Monroe Magic?
Sure. Okay.
6.48.
Now, folks, we're talking about another second fill bourbon barrel, and again, it's 11 years old. So fantastic to try and see the differences. This one comes from our it's juicy oak and vanilla flavour profile here. I sometimes think it's interesting for folk just to draw attention to the actual distillation date. This one is 29th of January 2009. And the reason I do that is because sometimes that date might just mean something in someone's life and just create that added thrill along with the flavours of a date meaning something. So 29th of January 2009.
It's a cracking name, Monroe Magic.
Oh, yes.
Maybe not everyone's familiar with what a Monroe actually means. In Scotland, it's very familiar. But Martin, do you know the Monroe thing?
Is it the mountains or is it the lead singer from Runrig that started Runrig up?
Donny.
Could be Donny.
Could be both.
That's Monroe Magic. So.
Yeah, absolutely, Martin. I hadn't thought of that. Well done.
Could be both. Yeah, Monroes are mountains in Scotland that are over 3,000 feet, named after Hugh Monroe, who was the first guy to map all these mountains. And I'm not sure exactly how many there are. 280
something. 280 something. Yeah, that's right. And some people set out to climb them all during the course of their lives, don't they?
Yeah, I've done a few, but I've got a long way to go.
Yeah, same here.
I wouldn't mind having this in the hip flask. This would.
Absolutely. No, I think this is immediately very different. I mean, it's same kind of cask, same kind of age, but I think it's much sweeter. Sweeter flavours coming through here. Turnips caramel wafers, I would say. That's probably a very Scottish thing, by the way. Turnips caramel wafers.
Yeah.
It's slightly more oily as well in the texture here, and it has some really, really nice floral notes and some fruity notes as well.
Yeah, I think it's got an oakiness to it too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Spiciness.
Yeah. I mean, I was getting the Turkish Delight notes, that rose water. I was getting on the nose anyway, so I think it was when you suggested or maybe it was Andrew suggested the Turkish
No, well,
Delight.
the Turkish Delight wasn't mine, no.
Right. Must have been Andrew's. I thought, well, I can see where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, this is one of those drams I was talking about just a couple of minutes ago, where if you've only got a dram of it, you actually think, if I put water in it, will I take away some of the power of it, because it feels very drinkable.
Yeah.
And it's 58.7%, so it's a couple of percent stronger than the previous one, where we felt it probably needed a bit of water. But the problem is, if you don't add a touch of water, you will never know what you might have missed, because you just don't know how the flavours are going to develop and change. So I'm going to do that now.
Well, I tell you what, try it. If you've got some Turkish Delight, try it with a wee bit of Turkish Delight, and it's sensational.
Is it good?
I went for the more commonly available version of Turkish Delight, which is chocolate coated. I won't name the company, but you can get it in any newsagents or any sweetie shop, rather than the more refined Turkish Delight that comes with the ice and sugar. But the chocolate covered Turkish Delight with that dram is an absolute winner, I have to say.
Scott, you in heaven, Richard, is it? I tell you what, we got a very interesting email today to SMWS. A new member, I think his name was Andy Duncan. And Andy was saying, as a newcomer, how should I go about getting to know SMWS and all of that? Where should I start? And I think this is an interesting starting point, Andy, because this is a feature on bourbon barrels. And bourbon barrels make up 90% or so of the casks currently maturing in Scotland. So I always say that if you get to understand single cask, single malt, so you get to understand the kind of flavours you might expect from first fill bourbon, second fill bourbon, refill, first fill, refill sherry, that kind of thing, then you can move on to single malt, which is sometimes a mixture of those type of casks, and understand better now where the flavours in that whiskey are coming from. So if I were you, I would go into one of the venues. If you're close, let us know. If you're on here on the comments, let us know where you come from, and let one of the bar ambassadors take you through some of our flavour profiles and some of our different cask maturation results, and you'll soon get to know what you think you like and how they compare to each other. And not only that, but it will be an important lesson to take you forward on your whisky journey to sample other whiskies as well under a proprietary name. So, and also if you're near, contact me, or if you like, my email is john.mccheyne@smws.com, and I'll be more than happy to help you further, Andy.
Martin, can I ask you just a wee bit about your background? You've been with Highland Park a long time, but how did you get into that role? What's your kind of whisky story?
Well, a very, very long story short, I've been with Highland Park for 16 years now. It's my 32nd year in the industry. That means it's 32 years ago since I did my first tasting. And it was actually, I'm original from Denmark, as most of you probably can hear. And it was my interest for Scotland that actually kind of led me into whiskey, because, I was over there, went on a tour around Scotland, and it's very hard not to visit a distillery. And my first distillery was Glenkinchie, and I was completely blown away. Not so much about the whiskey, but more about how proud the people were that made the whiskey. They were all talking about their whiskey, and it was the same, wherever I went, and I just wanted to know more about this, and of course I started tasting the whiskies, and was not too bad. So I fell in love with whiskey, fell in love with the production, fell in love with the stories, and one thing led to the other, and suddenly I was working full time with whiskey, and about 20 years ago, I went to work for Craigallachie Hotel. 18 years ago, in at the Quake Bar as a whiskey manager, and after a year there, I was approached by Edrington, that asked me to come and work for them as a brand ambassador. And then, of course, now I'm senior brand ambassador and responsible for education for ambassadors, and but still traveling the world, spreading the gospel about our beautiful brand. So more from beginning were my passion for Scotland, the stories, the castles, the fights you had, and eventually, of course, the whiskey. Yeah,
That's a great story, Martin. I think that's I mean, to hear that from someone from Denmark talking about the place and the culture and the people and the love for this spirit of the land is wonderful, because we hear it a lot in Scotland, but to hear that powerful story from someone from outside the country is even better.
yeah, but I can tell you, I'm probably more Scottish by heart than I'm Danish, and that's even my girlfriend said so, and my biggest problem is actually the 1st of September. Scotland and Denmark is playing, the qualification, and I honestly I have no idea who I should cheer on, because I want so much that Scotland goes on, but of course, living here with a Danish girl, I need to cheer a little bit on Denmark as well. But it's the thing I always had, and I was probably not more than 14, 15 years when I kind of got the interest for Scotland and kilts and all these kind of things, and it just been there ever since. So, and still is. I love Scotland, and thanks to my job, when we are allowed, of course, I get back as often as I can and will. So, which is good. So
The last time, Richard, Martin and I bumped into each other before, it was in Hong Kong.
Yeah,
a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was good fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the last time I bumped into Martin was actually over in Denmark when Highland Park were.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They had a very interesting Viking, a real Viking, descendant of Vikings, doing the designs, and he invited everyone out to his home out in the middle of nowhere. Like, it was about 2 hours from Copenhagen, I think, for a Viking banquet experience. It was the most incredible experience I can remember in whiskey. It was really something.
A real Viking feast, with burning ships and Vikings fighting in the garden and everything. It was good fun.
When you talk about Scottish history, Martin, and the fights we used to have, the Vikings had one or two themselves, didn't they? A few fights.
They were not boring, So, and I think they even have some fights against some of the guys in Scotland as well.
Absolutely,
and especially up where where I'm working now.
We better crack on, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Up next, 7.256, and this one's fruity wax. John.
Yeah. This is one of the most loved distilleries amongst our membership. We've had so many. This is the 256th cask from distillery number 7, and we've had lots of different flavour profiles over the years because of our ability to expertly mature the whiskies in different casks. and stuff like that. So you never know what's coming next. This one is juicy oak and vanilla. 17 years in a first fill ex-bourbon barrel. So what we should be expecting here is quite a big bourbon effect, you would think. 17 years in a first fill bourbon barrel. The spirit itself is quite robust and fruity to start with. So the bourbon barrel has added and developed that very, very well, I think. So it's juicy oak and vanilla, fruity wax. Fruity wax, as a title, gives you a little bit of a clue what the tasting panel actually got from the whiskey when they were tasting it for approval for the membership. 54.5%, distilled on the 17th of November 2003. I mean, just that right away, I'm getting
that's a cracker,
chocolate and
that's
chocolate.
really
Yeah,
nice.
absolutely. Definitely kind of fortified red wine coming through there, Demerara sugar.
Tremendous.
See, that's what I mean. I know I keep on contradicting myself about this water thing. But that is one you can easily just sit there of an evening with a couple of friends and just think you could sip away at that one without adding water. But as I say, add a little bit of water in so you see how it develops. And if you don't like it with water in it, and you've only got 1 gram of it, buy a bottle and drink the rest of it neat. That's my advice. I mean, it's just very mouth.
A wee white beer that the Hogarden Weiss beer.
Yeah, the Weiss beer. That's right. Yeah. I think I suggested that myself. Yeah. Yeah, Stephen. Dried fruit, vanilla, for sure. Yeah. Oh, Bob. Hiya, Bob. Good to see you.
Yeah, hi, Bob. How you doing? It's been a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, Peter, double ticks twice. Yeah, good stuff.
I saw Jesper was there before as well, which is your ambassador in Denmark as well, and my really good friend. So and I
know Jesper well.
Yeah, and Torben was there as well, one of my good boxing friends here in Denmark as well. So yeah, so good to see them.
I'll see you in February, Jesper. Yes, this is an exceptional dram, isn't it? Oh, it's just ticking all the boxes. Roasted nuts and raisins.
It's so rich, isn't it?
Big texture, yeah, big texture.
It's absolutely amazing how balanced it is and how many flavors that comes out all the time. So balanced and complex, but really, really much alive as well, which is fantastic. So really good dram. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else is trying a beer with this at home, but certainly the Weiss beer works very nicely with it as well. What do you think, John?
Oh yeah, I think it does well. Yeah. Yeah, it doing really well.
But I don't think you can go too far wrong with a half and half. Just such a good combination.
Who was the famous man who said, "A beer does not taste like itself unless it's chasing a dram of neat whiskey down the gullet, preferably 2 drams." Can't remember who that was, but.
Well, it certainly stands up on its own, though. That's tremendous. Just going to add a wee splash of water.
Oh no, that's definitely yeah. Definitely in for a bottle of that.
I think even fruitier with the water. It just opens it up. I'm getting fruit juice, maybe a bit of lavender there as well.
I was going to get glazed fruit and honey with a touch of water in it.
There's lots of honey in it, John, and there's some beautiful creamy bourbon vanilla notes as well, which is just it's great. It's really, really good. Yeah,
fantastic.
Peter preferred the Monroe. See, it just shows it can different strokes for different folks. You know, on a different day, Peter, you might think the other way around. That's a wonderful thing. I've often had a dram and then had it again on a different day and thought completely differently about it. You know.
If everybody loved the same, there would only be one distillery. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Martin,
Yes,
how do
Stephen.
you go about selecting the single casks at Highland Park?
Well, we when I can and when I'm allowed, I'm going over and I work with Gordon Motion, our master whiskey maker, and we always decide on the day when I come over that we get just around 200 to 300 cask samples in, and Gordon will start picking out cask for what he's about to doing, normally 12 or 18. And some of them will stand out, and I'll check them to see if they are okay, and the quality is, I would say, kind of unique for a single cask. And then we do the quality control after that. We then look at the size of the cask and these kind of things a little bit later, and kind of look what the demands are for the different markets, and decide where they go. But I actually did. I did it one time. I tried to make kind of an experiment, saying what kind of whiskies do the different markets like, and picked out casks that would go well for the different markets, and it went well. And everyone was happy. But it's quite an experiment to see. Well, in Germany they do like them a little bit more peaty than they do in Switzerland, where they do like the heavy sherry, and in Finland just very high strength and these kind of things. So, but it was a very good experiment, and it worked well, and it was good fun to do. But today we kind of look at because single cask is quite a big thing for us now. What the demand will be, or the request from the different markets, and then we'll definitely try to find these casks they're looking for. So yeah,
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Sounds like a very hard job, Martin, but someone's got to do it, eh?
Yeah, and I, I volunteer just so no one else, but yeah, that's just me. I do it for the company. Yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Very good of you. Right, John, should we crack on?
Yes.
EW 1.2. Now for something completely different, I would say.
Now for something completely different, folks. Absolutely right. Now it's a single cask spirit, okay, and it's between a new charred oak barrel. So it's been there for 11 years. So let's see what we think.
Oh.
I can hear Martin in the background there.
Yeah. But I Richard, always been. I'm a huge fan of American whiskey. So whether it's rye, it's corn, or it's bourbon, I always had a really good passion for that, and this is great, and one of the things I like about American whiskey and so on is that you don't really hide things. It's pretty straightforward, and it's not a bad thing, but in Scotland we can hide a lot of things with first fill sherry or these kind of things, but in America it's pretty straightforward, and I really like that. I would never swap with Scotch whiskey, don't get me wrong, but I there's something about this that is just simply amazing, and I like the sweetness that the corn will always give, and the sweetness together with the vanilla that comes from the oak cask as well. That combination is just simply amazing. I just like it, and it fits Scotch whiskey really, really good as well when we get the casks. So huge fan of American whiskey. Always been as well. So yeah.
I've never been quite as big a fan of it as you just expressed, Martin, but there's some American whiskies that do appeal to me to a certain extent, you know. And I know what you mean about, you know, they mature it in a freshly charred New York barrel, so there's nothing happening thereafter, you know, and that kind of thing. So that's interesting point of view, actually.
Yeah. But I've been traveling quite a lot in Sweden and Stockholm. And in Stockholm, they have a bourbon bar called Saddle and Sabre, and I think he had about 500 different kind of whiskies there, and all American. And working with Scotch whiskey was kind of a fresh thing coming in there and taste something different, because we sometimes, when we work in the Scottish industry, we sometimes forget that there's other around the world making great whiskies, and America is definitely one that that we have to look for as well, and I think this is a great example for what they work with. Yeah.
Well, the society have done more American whiskey in recent years, and will be doing more in the future. That's for sure.
Yeah, and this is the second bottling we've done from this distillery, which it was the first corn whiskey that were released. I think it was just back in June. That one was rocking chair whiskey, and you can see where the panel's coming from with the vibe of sitting on the porch down in the south of America, Kentucky somewhere. You know, a humid evening, the creak of the rocking chair on the wooden floorboards, and it's got a different vibe altogether, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just think that's definitely as often, I think, as there is in this one, a sweet cereally note. You know, right at the back, which actually I think sometimes overpowers the rest of the flavours. You know.
Yeah, people talking about the maple syrup, and definitely I'm getting all kinds of syrup, golden syrup, maple syrup. That licorice note as well is very prominent. I think maybe it takes a wee bit of water as well.
Well, 61.4. So
yeah. But John, in your experience, when you have whiskey but matured in bourbon cask, also American whiskey, I think, that's my experience, I can add more water to whiskey that's been matured in bourbon cask than sherry cask, where I think, too much water in sherry cask makes it flat. Where
I know what you mean. Yeah. I think it's a great point, Martin, because I think really good sherry cask whiskey, I just think gets you right away and stays with you. I agree with that, and sometimes when you add in the water, flat is probably a good word. Yeah. It seems to take away some of the power that the sherry cask is created, but bourbon you can play around a bit more. Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
Sure.
That's Anne asking if anyone's added water yet, and does it take it? And I would say yes. And
yes,
it really does. In fact, I think it improves with water, because it just takes a wee bit of that prickle and sharpness off it and rounds it out a little bit.
And I can tell you, it's getting much more vanilla with a few drops of water. So
I think I agree, and I think it takes water very well, and that sweet cereally flavour I was experiencing, neat, is transformed itself into, I think, more of vanilla and butterscotch, as Martin was talking about. You know,
I don't know if anyone got hold of the beef jerky to try with this one. I didn't manage to get any, but I got my chocolate raisins, and I tell you what, chocolate covered raisin works very nicely as well.
You've got a very sweet tooth tonight, Richard.
I don't have any choice. I don't have any choice.
Yeah, icicle cereal. Yeah. Raisins and jerky. Who would have known? Yeah, Mark. Yeah.
Maybe not at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Good stuff. Any favourite whiskey experience, Martin, that you could regale us about over all these years you've been working in the industry?
I think, if I ask you and John the same, I think you'll probably answer too many of good times. But one of the things I remember was our the previous manager at Bunnahabhain, John there. Him and I, we had a really good dram at the pier. The sun was going down. We were sitting outside Bunnahabhain, and we had a dram of the 12-year-old Bunnahabhain. Absolutely amazing. We were telling stories, and we probably had one too many, but it was amazing. And I was never a big fan of Bunnahabhain until then, so that changed my mind. First time I tasted Highland Park 50 was simply one of the biggest moment in my career with whiskey. But there's been a lot. I was doing a tasting a few years back for David Coulthard and Prince Albert of Monaco, which was unbelievable as well. Some great whiskeys, some great food, and something new. So there's been so many moments, and it's the moment and the passion you see in people's eyes when they taste the whiskey that keeps me going. It's the love for Scotch whiskey and so on, and all the moments we can get. And John, yourself, you travel the world as I do. It's getting out, meeting the people, but also meeting the whiskey family as we have all around the world. We're one big family, and we're all helping each other as much as we can. This is what makes it worth doing it all.
I actually told a story. I won't go into the whole story, Martin, but Richard knows about it. Richard printed it in the magazine that new members get. But what I was saying in that story effectively was that the love of whiskey unites people around the world, irrespective of what else they're passionate about. They can come together with that love of whiskey together in a venue or at their own homes, and just get to know each other through that love of whiskey. It's a great thing. And when like you, Martin, I travel around the world, I'm always humbled by the way that the people actually have a view of Scotland, which is very favourable and sometimes derives from the idea of Scotch whisky and where it comes from and what they expect to see when they get there. And many of them, as you know, have visited Scotland from around the world anyway.
Well, and fewer have visited Orkney, but still, it's something, even though I'm not Scottish, but I'm extremely proud of what we're doing with the distillery, and it's just an amazing world to be part of, the whiskey world, and it's one of these things that it's funny because in any other industry you'll always find people that are not happy. But in the whiskey industry, when you're out doing tastings, it might not be they're happy when you start, but they're always happy when you finish, and that's the thing and the beauty about what we're doing.
The other thing, Martin, is that something you said earlier struck home. You know where it all starts? It starts with the people who are at the distilleries working there. Their passion and their love of the place and what it's created, and that just spreads right through the whole process, and it ends up with people enjoying that in the bottle.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I'm trying now is to get the guys from the distillery out a little bit more. When I'm doing fairs, have one of them to join me, because I'm there. I'm taking all the credit for what they're doing when I'm out doing the tastings, and I think it's about time for them to come out and kind of feel the love for what they're making. And it's some of the things that we would like to do in the future when we're allowed to travel again, to get some of the guys out, let them feel the passion people have for it. They read Facebook, they read the Instagram, and you see all these kind of things, but they don't really get it until they're there. And I had a few of the guys with me in London for some years back when we launched a new product. And they were very shy to begin with because they're not used to be in front of people that way. But it took them half an hour, and then I couldn't stop them from talking about which was. But it was such an amazing thing to see, how they and they say, "Oh, can we answer that?" Well, it's what you do every day, for Christ's sake, So it was such a great moment to see the smile and the passion they showed there, and finally some people really appreciated what they were doing for a living, so which was so, yeah.
And can I just say, obviously, visiting distilleries is a great reason to travel around Scotland. But for anyone who hasn't been to Orkney yet, you've got to put that on your list of places, because it's you can go to the Western Isles, South of Hebrides, you go to Islay, and they're all fantastic. Orkney is just different, and obviously it's got the Scandinavian connection, but it's got a different feel about it altogether. It's Scotland, but it doesn't feel quite Scotland, and it's a long way from anywhere. Wow. But it's well worth a visit. It's
definitely,
absolutely.
Right. With that said, shall we crack open our last dram? Now, we don't name distilleries at the Society, but I think most of us have a clue where this one comes from. John.
Yes. Obviously, Martin's here to tell us about Highland Park. This is a Highland Park, another one of our distilleries which our members dearly love, And what we have here is we've got the 277, a punch and a pout, honey and heft, lightly peated, and it's 20 years old, 19th September 2055, and it's a refill ex-bourbon hogshead, which had 20 years to get the full impact of that cask. So, familiar harbour, fishy, almost shellfish flavours.
Yeah, and John, this is just the true DNA of Highland Park. It's If I take a new make spirit, and I know there's, even after 20 years, you will find a lot of the similarities here. The honey notes, the sweet smoke at the end is still there, and then of course what the cask have been given here as well is just amazing. And again, bringing us back, if this has been a first fill sherry, you would probably not have found the same DNA notes because the sherry would have covered some of that. But here we really allow the DNA to come through.
It's not a huge peated whiskey. It's slightly peated, but there's a subtle smoke, isn't there? And salted caramel,
Yeah, salted caramel is a really good one here. Very honey-like, and then the creamy vanilla as well. So
it's very subtle with the smoke. It's more on the palate that I'm getting more of that. But on the nose, it's very, very subtle.
It's on the back of the tongue, isn't it? It's everything.
Yeah. I just love it. Just all over. I think it just fills, mouth filling. Leaving that lovely briny kind of flavour running through at the end.
Stephen's asking the question there. Did you blend the malts and then finish them? Is it a true single malt cask whiskey? I think he means single cask malt whiskey. Well, the answer is it's not a single cask. It's from a small batch that the Society has put together, combining various hogsheads or barrels and marrying them over a certain period of time. So no, it's not strictly speaking single cask. It's our own small batch from this distillery. So
I think the definition of what we can call single cask it's changed over the years. So unless we've used a single cask and bottled that single cask, then we don't try to use the phrase anymore, because people just get confused, and there's different understandings about it.
Now, one of the suggestions was for some peppered mackerel. So I don't know if anyone's got any peppered mackerel. I've put some here.
Yeah, peppered mackerel would be fantastic, but just something very simple as Scottish smoked salmon will be
absolutely. Yeah. I think the mackerel was my idea, but you're right. You're right about the smoked salmon.
Yeah,
Martin, that would be wonderful. I tell you what, smoked salmon and this whiskey for breakfast. How's that? Oh, I'm not allowed to say that.
Yeah,
drink responsibly, folks.
Yeah, I'll go for that. I'll go for that. No, but this, I would say this is the true DNA of Highland Park. I know we do everything in sherry cask when we talk about our core range, but we've done bourbon barrels before. We have first fill bourbon, and we also used bourbon refill cask when we made the whiskey called Light, which we did recently. But it brings out a lot of different things, and the spirit we put into these casks were no more different than the spirit we put into other casks that went in where sherry had seasoned the casks. It's just that the refill cask here, the refill bourbon cask, allows more of the distillery flavor to come out, and allow, especially on the flavor, the smoke and the subtle peat to come out a little bit more than if it was a sherry cask, where a lot of the sherry notes would have overpowered that. And of course, 20 years ago, we would probably have used peat for a longer time. We would probably have used more peat as well as we do today. Not necessarily getting a different ppm value, but would probably have changed it a bit. We would have used different kind of barley. We would have used Karimaki Spring, which was hard water at that time. We don't do that today. So there's a few other factors that would have changed, or that would be different today than compared to this 20 years ago when we distilled it. So few things would have been different. Yeah.
There's Darren saying that the Matheson smoked sausage works well, and Leslie is saying the same thing. I did get the Polish Kabanos sausage and tried a wee bit with that, and that was absolutely brilliant as well. But I think basically anything smoked is going to go well with this whiskey.
Yeah.
Anna's saying all she have is olives, and I bet olives. She says they work fantastically well. I bet they do. That's a great pairing. Greg was asking before, I think we missed it, is it more difficult to get American whiskey than Scotch? I think he was asking. The answer to that one is that we've done a lot of work with American whiskey distilleries, Greg, and you'll find a lot more coming through in the years to come. So no, it's not more difficult.
There's a question which I was going to ask you myself, Martin, from Greg. What are Highland Park experimenting with just now, or what can we expect? What's around the corner from Orkney?
Oh well, we always trying something new, something fun. We have over the last couple of years experimented with a little bit more peated whiskey. Wouldn't say heavily peated, but it is. We have some of the cask which is 45. We even have 90 ppm cask lying there, with spirit that's that high in ppm. But you have to remember it's the Orkney peat, so it's a different kind of smoke. It's a different kind of flavor that we get out of it. We experiment with new cask. I can't tell you too much about it right now, but something to look forward to in the future. something Nordic, I would say. There's some older stuff coming out in near future. So we have some really good things coming out. We have some funny things coming out. But I think when we talk about experiments, it's something that Gordon really, our master blender, Gordon Motion, he really likes to do. And we now and again fill cask that we never tried before, just to see how it will work with ours. The only challenge we have when we do these experiments is, we could fill one cask and then wait 12 years and see how it goes. And the worst thing there is if it's really, really good, why did we only fill one cask? And on the other hand, if we fill 300 cask and it's a bad experiment, why did we fill 300 cask? So it's to find a balance there and to see where it brings us. But a good example, we never did anything in port wine, and we made Highland Park Fire a few years back, which was one of the experiments that went well and really good. We never expected it to be so good, and especially not after the first couple of years where the whiskey was basically undrinkable. But after 15 years, it was really good. So we tried, and we like to do it. Maria, our distillery manager, she's playing around with peats. She's playing around with different kind of things. We've been around, I think, 4 types of barley over the last year, which is good fun. We played around with the local barley tartan for a few years as well, just to see if that would change, and it gave us a little bit more crispy flavor. So good.
Martin, a couple of questions coming in for you. One from Rennie there. Martin going to have a go at the bar, which, for those that don't know it, is a fairly insane sport which happens in Orkney, where basically 2 sides of the town fight over a bottle, right? To get it from one.
Well, original, it's the Ubis and the Doonies, and Ubis means up the street, which is the farmers, and Doonies is down the streets, which is actually the fishermen from way back then. And there's no rules, which is fantastic. There's no referee. There's a few unwritten rules. One of them is, if a man is lying down, you're not allowed to kick him, but you can stand. You can stand on him, but you cannot kick him. It's an amazing. But no, I won't participate. I might be big, but I'm not stupid.
Well, I'd like to have you on my side, Martin, if we were going to take part. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I can tell you, it's a great game, and one thing I love about Orkney is traditions. It's so many people have tried to stop that game, and it's played 2 times a year, Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and it's just one of the things that you shouldn't take that away from Orkney, because it's part of Orkney.
Yeah, you can't take it away.
Quite a spectacle. Right, a couple of quick questions as well for you. Bob's asking, when are you going to be in the Netherlands anytime soon?
I hope so. I love being there, and it's always fun being there. And now, when my good colleague, Mr. Ofringer, he's not working for Highland Park anymore, then it might be that he allows me into your wonderful country. So hopefully, the fairs is soon to start up again, and that's where John and we have to hit the road and be present at most of the fairs. So yeah. Definitely.
Sure.
Okay. And Kathy's asking, what age for you works best for Highland malt? Stephen's asking, what's your preference for standard malt?
Well, besides a 50-year-old, which is kind of a one-off, but then I actually think for me, 18 to 21 is where I get the real, can we say, flavor of Highland Park. But that said, I'm a bucker for young whiskey. I really love young whiskey because I like I use the word DNA, but I like the distillery character a lot. our 10-year-old for our core range is something that I think is very underrated, and I simply adore that. But for my whiskey, if I have to sit with a Highland Park, sounds wrong if I have to, but when I do sit with a Highland Park at night, it's 1821 that I really think is, hits my profile the best. So yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, we're running
Just,
out.
just one thing, Richard. Jesper, Martin's colleague over in Denmark there, has asked me if I'm bringing over a bottle of the number 4 to the SMWS festival in February. I tell you what, Jesper, I sure will if I can get one to the site, and all you people who've been on this tasting tonight haven't got it all. so watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space. So, gents, and everyone else that's tuning in, we can talk about highlights out of the 5 drams. Where should we start? John, what were your highlights tonight?
I definitely think the number 4 was the best for me, and I also thought number 7 was remarkable, But I thought it was really 5 really good drams. I really do, But I would say 7 and 4.
Yeah, Martin, you're biased, but
I'm with you, John. I think 4, but 7. I would say though that the American cask there, the American whiskey there was really did something very, very good for me as well. So, but 7 was amazing, simply amazing, and of course 4 always amazing. So yeah.
Absolutely. What are our viewers saying? Our members are saying. Peter saying 4 and 6. Stephen saying 4. Yeah. Monroe Magic was good, says Kathy. Phillips in for the number 4. Great stuff. Well, I think, a cracking variety of drams anyway, just to kind of showcase, the range of society whiskies and what we do in terms of offering up a huge variety of drams from different places as well, across the pond tonight as well. So that wraps it up. Martin, it's been a huge pleasure to have you on board with our virtual members tasting. Just really grateful that you could join us tonight and take part and get involved. So absolutely brilliant to see you.
Well, thank you for having me. It was amazing and good to see you guys. Hopefully, I'll see you all soon on the road, and we can have a dram together there as well. So, but
absolutely,
thank you for having me.
Cheers, Martin.
Great to see you, and John, always a pleasure to see you. And you've got a busy month ahead of you with our gathering month.
Oh yes,
events all over the place. So you're going to be you're going to be kind of traveling all over the place doing tasting.
Brilliant. Thank God.
Yes, finally back on the road. Great stuff. Right, gents, we'll raise a glass. I'm going to wrap up with some comments, but thank you very, very much to both of you for joining us. Thanks everyone else for tuning in. Before we leave you tonight, it's almost September, can you believe it? Big month of whiskey fun with the Society, with our annual gathering celebrations. Obviously, last year, everything was online. This year, we're back in real life. So that is absolutely fantastic. What we got? Well, first of all, we've got 4 preview bottlings for the first Friday out turn out next week. 4 preview bottlings are on sale now. Check your emails to see what's available there. We've got home dining coming back. It's going to be a 60s inspired menu with our executive head chef, James Freeman, and that is going to be available for the 16th to the 18th of September. And for any of you who tried the home dining experience during lockdown and during the restrictions, it's absolutely brilliant. So check that out. Lots of fantastic gathering events coming up throughout September. A couple of the big ones are the party in Queen Street Gardens. That's called Wood Cask. It's got a kind of a Woodstock vibe, but with a whiskey theme, obviously. That's going to be on Saturday, the 11th of September. In Glasgow, we've got a collaboration going on with West Brewery over at their place in Glasgow Green. John McCheyne is going to be there leading that. That's on Saturday, the 25th of September. We've got a couple of brilliant Lynn listening lounges. Lynn, the makers of the very high-end hi-fi equipment, they're going to be doing a couple of listening lounges. Look out for those. Combination of great music and great whiskey. Can't go wrong with that. And down in London, we're going to do a whiskey and a single estate tea tasting. And that's with our pal Médéric from Lalani. Fantastic teas. We featured Médéric in Unfiltered recently. He's a fantastic guy. That's Thursday, the 9th of September. Loads of events going on for the Gathering month. So check it out online. Just look for SMWS plus Gathering events, and it's all there. The next virtual tasting, I should say, John's back for that. He's got a busy month ahead of him, as I said. That's going to be Thursday, the 30th of September, with the one and only Dean Marinello, who many of you will know from the vaults. So tasting packs are live for that, and look out for that. Stephen's saying, can we have hard copies again of Unfiltered magazine? Stephen, I might have something for you. Watch this space. All is not lost with the printed magazine, but I'm not going to say any more than that just now. Members' rooms are open. That's the big news. If you've not been back in the members' rooms, it's business as usual. Physical members' tastings are back on. We're out and about. Check out smws.com/events because there's lots going on and it's changing all the time. So keep up to date on the website. There's more. The Society will be at Whisky Lounge Liverpool and the National Whisky Festival in Aberdeen. Those are both on Saturday, the 18th of September. Saturday, the 18th. Bring your membership card and you will qualify for some under-the-counter drams. How about that? And a new issue of Unfiltered, I can't leave you without promoting that, is online next Wednesday to get your September started. So that's it for me. A huge thanks again to John McCheyne, to Martin Markvardsen, and to Andrew Park behind the scenes, pressing the buttons and making it all happen. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Have a great rest of the month, and we'll see you very, very soon at one of our gathering events, I hope. In the meantime, Slange, cheers, good night.